Hi, I'm Randy Lavasser, and I'm one of your candidates for the Royal Oak City Commission. I'm providing this video as a bit of an update on the litigation that's going on right now between some taxpayers and the city with regard to the city center project. As many of you are aware, there are some taxpayers that have sued the city to try to stop the city from borrowing some additional funds and building the new city center project. A lot of them involved with that project, which includes giving away $5.5 million of taxpayer funds to a private developer, as well as giving that developer the city parking lot that's between the city hall and Mr. B's right now. That parking lot is worth anywhere from, say, $900,000 to perhaps as much as $3 million, and the city is slated to give that to the private developer for the price of $1, along with giving the developer an additional $5.5 million of taxpayer funds. So you have a number of taxpayers that are challenging that. They were in court this past Wednesday with the judge discussing whether or not that case should proceed, or whether the judge should prevail, should announce that one side or the other is prevailed. And some very interesting arguments during that hearing, which went on for close to 2 hours long. The judge ended up not making a decision on Wednesday, but said that she was going to take it under advisement, which simply means that she is going to put together her formal written opinion and then get that out to the parties. Or there's the possibility as well that she could get the parties back in for some further discussion. I don't think that she's likely to do that. My expectation is that sometime this coming week she will issue a written opinion as to whether she believes that the city is within its legal rights to proceed or not. The key issues at that hearing. First, it starts with the standing of the taxpayers to bring the lawsuit. That is a question of whether they have the legal right to sue the city. And the city's argument is that these particular taxpayers don't suffer any unique special harm or damages by the city proceeding with this, and as a result, the city does not believe that these taxpayers should have the right to proceed. Now, the judge asked a very interesting question at the hearing. She said, if not these taxpayers, then who? Who would have the legal right to challenge? And the city's attorney really could not give her an answer that I believe that the judge found satisfactory. But that's probably going to be the key issue here for the judge to decide. I believe it's the only issue in which the city can prevail. There are two other issues that came up. First is the question of whether the $5.5 million that the city is giving to this developer, whether that's an illegal investment or not. The city cited a variety of different circumstances in which government does get involved in offering an incentive to developers, situations such as the Little Caesars Arena, things like that. But the attorneys for the taxpayers, they pointed out that those other developments, those other situations all involved circumstances where there were statutes that specifically allowed for the incentive to be given. And the taxpayers had a list attached to their brief saying you have this statute, this statute, and this statute, and this statute. But asked the question, which of these statutes, if any, pertain to this specific instance? And their answer, the taxpayers' answer was, well, none of them do. There is no statutory authority for this investment by the city. And again, once again, I don't believe the city gave the judge an answer that was satisfactory to her as to what their statutory authority was to give this incentive to the developer. Probably the most significant thing that I noted from the judge's comments and questions had to do with the question of the borrowing of funds in excess of the amounts allowed by our city charter. Our city charter only allows borrowing up to 5% of assessed value, and there's absolutely no question the city has exceeded that borrowing limit. The taxpayers look to hold the city to that limit, and basically if they were to be successful, then the only way the city could borrow additional funds would be to get voter approval. The city tries to make the argument that state law would otherwise provide for a 10% borrowing limit They say that because state law allows for a 10% borrowing limit, that the 5% limit that was set in the charter by the voters is unenforceable. The judge did not seem to be buying that argument. She looked at the 10% set by state law as being an upper cap, so that no city could authorize its commission, no voters could authorize their city council or commission to borrow in excess of 10%. But she did seem to believe, based on her questioning, that cities certainly would be within their rights, voters that is, to set a lower limit for their city commissions to borrow. So that looks like that's a no-winner for the city. The only way the city will prevail, it would seem to me, is if the judge somehow finds that these particular taxpayers did not have the legal right to bring this suit and were the wrong people to bring this action. We will see, hopefully very soon. My expectation is that sometime this coming week, the judge will issue her written opinion, and that will likely be very noteworthy, very newsworthy. I'll certainly try to share that with you as soon as I have it. Until then, I'm Randy Levaster, running for City Commission. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by commenting underneath this video. Thank you much.